so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see 100 years ain't what it used to be. Oh, Johnny!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Johnny Heidt. Oh, yeah.
He did the guitar face.
Ibuprofen's under buy again in my online shopping cart. Every week I learn of something else I should be doing for my heart. If I use the wrong pillow, I might have trouble getting out of bed. My hair grows in my ears and nose now more than on my head. As a kid, to me, ancient history was something like World War I. But I arrived close to that time and this year as I sing this song. And I'm starting to find I can wrap my mind around life is brief and dear. I can hardly believe my baby girl's turned 26 this year. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see everybody 100 years ain't what it used to be.
1733.
I am.
Watch the last 4 digits of your social.
Josh Arnold, investment consultant, brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1733, March 10th, 2026. 66 degrees. We reached that twice on this day in 2012 and in 2015, and 17 below on this day in 1948. Call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
I was reading a couple of pieces in the Minneapolis Times. I've grown to check that site every day. I've told you before how much I love their graphics and their artwork. It's just it's a really neat looking site. And I was reading a message to her constituents from Auron Chowdhury, who's a Marxist-Socialist on the city council. And she co-authored an ordinance to provide renters, let's see, she wants a 60-day pre-eviction notice. So if you've had a hard time paying your rent, she wants you to have the landlord inform you that you have 60 days, not 30. And this is an example of her virtue and her example of making people less than. Let me explain. In many cases, people have had trouble because of the surge. Some people couldn't get to work or were afraid to go, and now that things are calming down a bit, she wants to introduce this notion that, well, these people should get 60 days notice. And she said, we've had hundreds of individuals from our community give powerful and brilliant testimony and public comment. There have been several community members who have reached out to me who have felt the weight of housing insecurity in this moment due to the surge. For the first time as an elected official, I have had outreach from constituents on getting help for their rent or sharing that they have received an eviction filing. Unfortunately, at the state level, there was no eviction moratorium placed. So this is past the city council that they've achieved this to require 60 days because landlords are evil white people and they're billionaires and they all have yachts in Florida. And it's very unfair of them to extract money from the people they've oppressed merely by providing them a place to live. That's what's going through her mind. I'm not your math guy, but here's the problem she has created for people. Let's say your rent's $1,500. Right now, you owe them $1,500.
Yep.
What are you going to owe them in 60 days?
$3,000.
There you go. You're creating an economic hardship by trying to alleviate them from any notion of fulfilling their agreement to pay their rent on time. Now, what she's anticipating is that people have bake sales or something and sell butterfly.
What's going to happen in 60 days for that amount of money?
But all you're doing, Chad Hurry, is you're compounding the problem a renter's going to have in 60 days. Right. She probably is anticipating that public funding will be sought to pay the rental that's due. But rather than try to do what she has to do now to help renters fulfill 30 days, which is only $1,500,
right,
she wants to extend that and make it 60 days. You haven't done anybody any favors. All you've done is add to the debt load they're going to face in 60 days. But you're suggesting that they're so helpless that they can't be held responsible for the 30-day period in which they're supposed to pay rent. And in many cases, that would have been problematic because of this damn ICE presence.
You're being way too generous with your math, Joe.
Well,
here's how I would have done it. You owe me $1,500. You didn't pay.
Yeah.
So now I'm using your damage deposit, your first and last month's rent, to pay for the month you didn't pay. There's $15. Now I give you the notice, which is 60 days. So now that renter is not going to get back his last month rent plus the $3,000. So I think we're up to $4,500 here.
Well, you get my point.
I get your point, but it's worse than we can possibly imagine. And so they just expect these landlords to eat this.
Well, this is why...
God, that makes me mad.
This is why a city led by Marxist-Socialists ultimately doesn't work. It only works if they want to bring their Mysterian vision into play, which is you shouldn't even have to pay rent. That should be a right that you have a place to live. You shouldn't even... I guarantee you, she won't talk to us. I guarantee you that's her thinking. That rent is unfair. Rent is issued by people who oppress you. And so now, because she's, a moron, she's making the financial burden that much more difficult for people.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Fry could veto this ordinance,
Yep.
and he should.
Probably
But he's
will.
getting all kinds of pressure from the Marxists not to veto the ordinance. So what are we doing here? Time is the core issue is
You need to veto the ordinance. He's getting pressure to veto.
No, he's getting pressure not to veto it from the likes of Chowdhury. She doesn't want it vetoed. She wants this ordinance to go through. She wants to create a 60-day longer period for people not to pay without realizing the damage she's doing. Fry can save the damage being done to people by vetoing the
By
ordinance.
saying it's out. Okay.
The core issue is the arrears explosion. Under the present 30-day rule, a tenant behind on a $1,500 monthly rent faces a manageable, if difficult, path to mediation. I'm reading a piece by David Tingham in the Minneapolis Times. Faces a manageable, if difficult, path to mediation by doubling that window to 60 days, plus the time required for the actual court filing and hearing. The city is effectively mandating that tenants accumulate $4,500 to here's Kenny got this covered, to accumulate $4,500 to $6,000 in back rent before a legal resolution is even initiated. For a household already in crisis, this isn't a grace period. It's a sentence to financial purgatory. Of course it is, because the Marxists are morons. I mean that seriously. They wish their virtue to replace all common sense. Mm-hmm. And it makes no sense. By the time the clock runs out, the debt is too high for any nonprofit pay and stay program to cover, and the eviction becomes an absolute certainty. Now there is a council member, Elizabeth Schaefer, who has tried to be a voice of reason, and she's saying this ordinance is a threat to the mom and pop housing provider. The narrative often pits tenants against landlords, well, especially if you're a Marxist-Socialist, because the landlord is an evil oppressor who makes money. Mm-hmm. In Minneapolis, the narrative often pits tenants against landlords, envisioning the latter as faceless, deep-pocketed corporations. The data tells a different story. A significant portion of the city's affordable, naturally occurring housing is managed by individuals who own one or two properties. These providers operate on a razor-thin margin. When the city council mandates a 60-day non-payment window, they are effectively seizing the private income of small business owners to fund a municipal social experiment. That's exactly what Chowdhury wants and Wansley. A small landlord who misses 2 months of rental income doesn't just lose profit, they default on their mortgage. They fail to pay property taxes. They defer maintenance. The end result of this ordinance isn't stable housing. It is the accelerated foreclosure of small-scale rental stock, which will inevitably be snapped up by the very corporate giants the council claims to despise. Everybody on track here? All
They
you
can't link. They can't
all
link.
you euphorians and Mysterians and Liberal Lakes people who think, oh, isn't that nice? Let's just cut these people some slack. It was a tough January, and it was. It was a tough January for many people. Many people were afraid to leave. You are not helping them, though. You are going to prolong the difficulty they have found themselves in. Not only are you going to prolong the difficulty that a renter has found himself in or herself, you are harming the mom and pop operators who own most of these buildings. They now can't pay their mortgage. They now can't keep up with their seasonal maintenance. They, in fact, might very well have to sell. And who would buy it? BlackRock? What? Here's the problem. When the closer you get to the country's tallest buildings, you are governed by Mysterians who, in fact, wish to bring about a different country. The country they wish to bring about has nothing to do with free markets and capitalism. The country they wish to bring about is everyone achieves equity because we are going to give it to you. That doesn't work. It's a guaranteed failure. It has failed every time around the world it has been tried. And it's the result, Minneapolis and St. Paul to a certain extent, it's a result, Minneapolis, of you buying the act these people put on and you vote for them. You have made grave, grave errors in turning the Minneapolis City Council over to Marxist-Socialists. They are systematically ruining the city. Now, Fry, I'm betting, will veto this. If he's got any gonads at all, he has to veto this and point out to Robin Wansley and Ari Chaudhuri and the rest of the Marxists that, look, what you're doing is hurting the people you think you're helping. And here's why you're hurting them. And because they're not terribly bright when it comes to this stuff, he's going to have to spell it out for them. Here's what happens if we extend the rent to 60 days out. Here's what's going to happen. Somehow their eyes have to be opened, which creates an interesting dynamic. Do their eyes even want to be opened? Because they don't want that renter to ever have to pay. They don't want that renter to ever have to do anything. They think other people should be providing that money. So are they even going to be amenable to understanding what Fry will have to explain to them? My thinking is no, they're not amenable to it. And you are done as a city until you get rid of these people.
May I provide you an example of why that's not going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
We played some audio from the House File Committee yesterday on fraud and whatnot.
I don't want to do fraud.
I know you don't, but here's that same line of thinking that's taking place. They're not going to cut expenses. Here's why, Joe.
Enable us all to agree on the importance of raising revenue. And so I, at some point, may offer an amendment to quintuple the rates of these registration fees so that we may fund other projects in the state that everybody deems worthy.
Who's saying that, I wonder?
I will find her name. But that's the line of thinking. Well, we're short money. Well, we'll just keep raising fees here. She's talking about car registration fees.
Right.
The
the ideology at work with whatever's passing for the DFL today, they're not your parents' DFL. Whatever ideology at work is never to cut spending. No. It's only to take more. Because they have a plan. They have a plan. Just like Ari Chaudhuri has a plan. Well, her plan is a corrosive, ridiculous plan that doesn't work in a free market capitalist society. Her plan will work haltingly and poorly in
Bolivia,
Peru, whatever, but it doesn't work here. But that's the plan she wants, and all she's doing is hurting people.
And the landlord spelled it out for her, and she did not understand that.
She doesn't get it.
The other one, Elizabeth
Schaefer.
She understands.
Yes. Schaefer says to do this, you are effectively seizing the private income of the small business owners to fund a municipal social experiment. Well, I think the social experiment that Schaefer is referring to is Chaudhuri imagines that there will be an outpouring of public donations.
Yeah, I was confused about that.
Yeah, to help people pay their rent, which will be double what they owe today by the time Chaudhuri envisions these gatherings to put money in a hat.
She calls them non-profit landlords.
Yeah, I don't know who those are. She wants landlords to be non-profit.
Are they the people that run homeless camps? I can't imagine living in a building where it's a nonprofit landlord.
I have her name. I don't have the first name, but her last. She's Representative Lugar-Nicolai. She's a Democrat from St. Paul, Joe. And you heard the quote, at some point I may offer an amendment to quintuple the rates of these registration fees so that we may fund other projects in the state that everyone deems worthy. And in retrospect, you're
Slow down your talking.
Because you always
Please.
cut me off, and I thought I would get
No,
this
just
in.
slow down.
A 2-year-old vehicle, let's say it's $50,000. That would equal a $3,650 payment every year for your registration fees because they're already about $900.
Well, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
But
because
that's a whole different. That's
But what I'm saying is it's the same mentality.
it's
Ken.
symptomatic of the ideology.
Yeah.
And the ideology is to spend, spend, spend. Where is somebody to say, well, we're not going to buy that? You're not getting a new TV this year. You can't afford it. They don't have that. They don't work that way. They just keep taking our money and getting us deeper into a hole, deeper into a problem. This state, I believe, is financially ruined and has been since 2019. But this takes the cake. I hope it serves as a brief tutorial on the results of who you've elected. You've elected people who have no interest in the economic and commercial success of the city, so long as they can take that money and redistribute it to achieve what they believe to be equity. It doesn't work. And the very people you think it's helping are the most hurt.
Do you think they already know that?
No, I don't. I don't
it's-
think Chaudhry's smart enough to know that. She's so overwhelmed with her sense of virtue and righteousness that she doesn't see the error of her ways.
You understand why I asked that question, though, right?
Well,
Because it's obvious to me.
Yes.
So how could she not know that? How could it not be obvious to her?
Because she's never dealt with successful financial management in her life. She's a professional activist who's
No,
never
Joe,
had to work.
She's a professional idiot.
Yep. And so is Chavez, and so is Wansley. It's a shame, Minneapolis. It's just a shame what's happening. But this is what you have wrought. Council members have used the trauma of Operation Metro Surge as a moral shield to deflect criticism of the ordinance. They argue that because the federal government created the crisis, the city must act. But acting with a flawed tool is worse than not acting at all. By forcing landlords to carry the cost of a federal immigration policy failure, the city is misdiagnosing the problem. The crisis is a lack of legal work authorization and direct cash assistance. The solution should be a robust, state-funded emergency rental fund and aggressive lobbying for federal funding. Well, I don't even know if I go that far. Instead, the council chose the path of least resistance, a regulatory mandate that costs the city nothing up front but diminishes the private housing market stability in the long run. Okay, I get what they're saying. Chaudhry would have been better off insisting that because the feds came in here and did in fact make life difficult for many people afraid to leave their apartments in the month of January, the federal government should be creating a fund to help us bail them out of this 1 month mess. Instead, Chaudhry floats a local ordinance that does nothing except increase the debt burden of a tenant and ruin the workplace of a private property owner. That's what Chaudhry's done.
Do you know what the city council has already done? And if you mentioned it, you glanced over it. The city has already approved $1 million in emergency.
Right.
Did you mention that?
I did not, but they
500,000.
have done that, yeah.
So they already have this money in place. $500,000 for immigrant legal services and $7 million for small business support. So they're already taking that out of your taxes, whether you like it or not. They're not asking you; they're telling you. And then on top of what they just did this last month, they want this over and above from the landlords.
The council's solution was to pair the 60-day mandate with a one-time $1 million funding allocation.
Yeah.
This is administrative malpractice. You cannot.
Who wrote that?
This,
That's awesome.
This fellow for the Times,
very good.
David Tingham. You cannot plug. Am I on? Something went goofy here.
Check 1 2.
Hello. I don't think I'm on the air.
I think we just got hit by lightning. Hello? I don't know what's going on. It's no, we're on the air. Your microphone just cut out. How about we do this? How about we take a pause because we had to break anyway. Talk to me. Can we hear you?
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
And how about
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. How about you do one of these?
Well,
and then
fine.
And then we'll reset the board.
That's
Well,
fun.
very good. Let me just check something right
When
here.
something
Okay.
is fun, what do you do?
Eco fun.
No, I like the every day. I always check the site of all these various places, and my first stop, literally when I'm on my desktop at home, is the Center of the American Experiment. And right now, the Center of the American Experiment, much to our gratitude, is concerning itself with affordable and reliable energy. Minnesota power companies cannot plan for new nuclear energy, even though that's the cleanest, safest, and most reliable carbon-free energy on Earth. A state law puts a gag order on nukes. Just like there's a state, a Minneapolis city ordinance, it didn't allow the cops to help with ICE.
Hey.
We're one of only 9 states with a nuclear moratorium, and the only one in the middle of the country still doing this to ourselves. So the American Experiment has created a program that you can join, read about, get involved in, and it's called Take Action. You go to americanexperiment.org, hit Take Action, and tell your representative it's time to free the nukes and restore reliable, affordable energy in Minnesota. Because the American Experiment sees the future, that's the business they're in, and they're predicting really, really heavy hits on your electric bill. americanexperiment.org, hit action.
The end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine.
Joe Souchere.
I'm going to tell you something right here and right now. These 1 3/4 bags of coffee from Custom Roasting, boy, it's really the only way to go. It's been a few weeks now since we received 2 big bags, 3.5 pounds total, of coffee from customroasting.net. And that's with the free shipping, I might add. The Boundary Waters blend, that's all gone. We're now working through the French roast. And once that's gone, we're going to do it all over again. I'm going to walk you through the process right now. I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to go to customroasting.net. First thing I do is click on the Garage Logic tab right there on the landing page. And then you're going to see 2 options, either the starter package with the 4 bags you're seeing right now if you're watching on YouTube, or the big twin pack with free shipping. Choose dark or light roast. The dark package includes Boundary Waters and French roast. The light roast package is Minnesota Morning and Columbia Excelsior. Also, Excelsior, I always say that wrong. Both of those blends really good on their own. But here's the deal now. When you get to checkout with your little cart, your virtual cart, be sure to enter code GL to get that free shipping offer, the coffee from Custom Roasting. Oh, my goodness. It's just the best. They're right there in Buffalo, Minnesota. Amazing and smooth. The French roast is better than the best on the market, and the Boundary Waters blend, I think it's my new favorite, to be honest. The official coffee supplier to both Garage Logic and the Krabby Coffee Shop is customroasting.net.
The most damning evidence against this ordinance is the council's own math. Proponents cited data suggesting that Operation Metro Surge, a federal crackdown on work authorizations, has created a monthly rental assistance need of approximately $15.7 million. This is a staggering figure that represents a genuine humanitarian crisis. However, the council's solution was to pair a 60-day mandate with a one-time $1 million funding allocation. This is administrative malpractice. You cannot plug a $15.7 million monthly hole with $1 million and call it a safety net. It covers barely 6% of the monthly need for a single month. Without a massive sustained infusion of liquidity, the 60-day notice period is merely a longer fuse on a bomb that is guaranteed to go off. And it is the suspicion of this fellow who wrote this for the Times that what was needed instead was federal intervention on the grounds that you caused this problem in the first place. So you come in and help us fix it.
With all their business experience.
The city council cannot fix it with their plan. They would only make it worse.
I don't see the feds rushing.
I don't either.
I don't either. Safety blanket.
I don't either. So what does that mean? Well, somebody's got to come up with the $15.7 million. Then you add up all the rents, I suppose, that weren't getting paid. You come up with $15.7 million. Chances are the Minnesota taxpayers will be on the hook for it.
Why do we have to be? Why is that a manufactured?
Because I don't know how many. I suppose the other option is how many thousands of people will be put on the street. I guess that's why we would call it a humanitarian crisis.
Until, and that puts a Band-Aid on it until, what, 2 months down the road when it's fall and they're coming in because it's cold?
Well, no. Ideally, it wouldn't be a Band-Aid. It'd be a remedy, and that the people that haven't been working because of the Metro surge will start working again because the surge is over, or presumably is over.
Well, let's go then.
All I know is this is a great example of why Minneapolis has turned itself over to the wrong people. You've just elected the wrong people, and it's not going to get better. It's so long as Chowdhury and Chavez and Robin Wansley and the rest of these dimwits run this thing, you're going to have these problems. You're not going to have a flourishing city that's flourishing with individual achievements and commercial achievements. It's just not going to happen.
You want a small ray of hope along those lines?
Yeah.
There was a young man going through the airport that I knew that's very politically connected, and I asked him about the Twin Cities, and he said Minneapolis is screwed. The city council in St. Paul is not great, but this new mayor, which he's very close to, said she is engaged, and she's not perfect yet, but she is has the mindset of we need business back in St. Paul. So he said, look for good stuff from her down the road, even though you're not seeing it immediately right now. She's engaged.
Unlike the Marxist-Socialists on the Minneapolis City Council, Kali Her had a long career in the private financial industry. She and her husband have achieved the American dream, maybe tenfold.
Yeah.
She'll have to forget more than Wansley will ever know in order to fall apart. She's got to know in the back of her mind, I hope it's at the front of her mind, that the only way to go is to provide opportunities for people to succeed. And all you're doing in Minneapolis is providing opportunities for people to fail. You're making them less than. And it doesn't work, and it will not continue.
Yesterday, Joe, the Star Tribune, that's the Minnesota newspaper.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
They had a piece that surfaced online. Actually, I saw this via social media, and it's an opinion piece. Minnesota must choose economic growth.
Really?
There it is. It's been said.
Really?
So it is written, let it be done.
By the way, this is a newspaper that's printed in Des Moines, Iowa.
There it is.
And if it snows 1/4 of an inch,
Ain't getting here.
you won't get the paper.
I urge you all to listen to Monday Night Sports Talk yesterday. Patrick had a bit of a tirade with that one. We must choose economic growth.
Who wrote this?
Hang tight there, cowboy. No S, Sherlock. This is by a guy named David Wood. I am not familiar with him.
Yeah. The editorial page of Minnesota's newspaper has been uninspiring. That's a good word.
Comical?
No, I'm just saying
Okay.
uninspiring.
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 I stopped going there over a month ago. Why couldn't they use some of this $7 million for businesses to plug the $15 million hole?
What do you mean?
Well, the city allotted $7 million approved for businesses impacted by the reduction in economic activity. That sounds like bullshit to me, Joe.
The city is always trying to repair the damage that governments do, whether it's the federal government or the local government.
So
you are causing the problem, government.
Why didn't they just stuff $8 million at the rent thing and let the businesses, die or survive?
And the businesses, they're restaurants and coffee shops. They're art galleries. They're not employing a great number of people.
And the ones that have been are gone.
Yeah. Pat had a tirade yesterday about you got to drive up to Maple Grove and take a right on 63rd Street.
Yep.
And look at all the buildings in there, and they're all empty. And apparently somebody went up there and built an industrial complex.
Manufacturing. Yep, for manufacturing.
But it's not full of manufacturing.
What did he say? Less than 5% of it's full.
Oh, jeez.
But it's because it's become impossible to do business in this state, especially if you're a new business. If you're someone that's been here for a long time, you're probably still able to turn a buck, but even you're questioning why you're still here.
In the meantime, as also part of the Marxist ideology is to hold law enforcement in contempt, we had a situation. When was this situation? Hennepin County, this is from the American Experiment, David Zimmer. Hennepin County Sheriff's deputies came upon a person blocking traffic. They sat in their car as they sat adjacent to the Hennepin County Medical Center on Chicago between 7th and 8th. The person was in obvious crisis. They began actively cutting themselves on the head with multiple knives.
Jeez.
The person was not cooperative with initial deputies who evaluated that it was best to contain the person and get a negotiator on site rather than to detain the person too soon and risk having to use deadly force. So they had deputies and coppers and crisis negotiators and paramedics working for over 2 hours in an attempt to calm the person and gain their cooperation in putting down the knives and surrendering. Deputies put on a contingency plan together in the event the situation deteriorated. That plan involved a bunker and deputies with less lethal weapons to incapacitate the person and safely contain them. After 2 hours, the person without warning began to cut their throat. Deputies initiated their contingency plan using less lethal munition to break the car windows and gain access to the person in crisis. They successfully prevented the person from fatally injuring themselves and got the person into HCMC immediately for medical and mental health treatment. All right. Deputies, officers, negotiators, and I suppose you could argue some sidewalk superintendents would probably say, well, why didn't you break the window 2 hours ago? They had their reasons.
Right.
They had their reasons not to. So the deputies, the officers, the negotiators, and the paramedics should have been able to walk away knowing that the work they did was outstanding. This was yesterday. Is it yesterday? Let me look.
No, it's today.
This might have been last week.
Yeah.
Last week. After they responded. They were booed by 50 ne'er-do-wells on the corner watching all this. The cops were
Of course they were.
Were chided. Were chirped at by these people who...
And to make it worse, the crowd was informed as to what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what was going on, and it didn't stop them.
So they gave all this law enforcement grief because giving law enforcement grief has become part of Minneapolis's environment. It's just part of the way Minneapolis rolls is we don't like cops and we're going to give you a lot of grief.
That's right.
Well, here they save somebody's life and they're all getting chirped at for it. I don't know what they were saying to them. I don't have any idea. But it's... they were berating and criticizing the personnel on the scene. It's become perfectly acceptable to this mindless sect in our society to assume, react, and obstruct, and they are convinced that... let me turn the page. And they are convinced to what they are doing is righteous. As to the HCSO, Hennepin County Post, and about the incident made clear, this group was informed by supervisors on the scene what was happening and why deputies were armed and surrounding the car. But that didn't matter to these people because in their minds, no matter what our law enforcement is doing, it equates to community trauma, over-enforcement, and excessive force. That's the mindset in Minneapolis. Even when they're helping somebody not kill themselves.
The flavor of the day.
Yeah,
in an effort to add stuff to social media, because I hate taking stuff out of context on this show.
Sure.
I think I might isolate the clip of you looking into the ether and saying, "Is it yesterday?"
When did I do that?
When you were reading the story.
Oh, is it yesterday?
Is it?
No, this is today.
Okay, good. Happy to know that.
I read the NPR version of the Housing Advocates story. And
how different was it?
well,
Okay.
it was more friendly than what I would have written. In a statement, Fry's office said the mayor is meeting with housing experts this week to get more input. Mayor Fry believes the most effective solution is a targeted one, which is why we're working to get the $1 million we recently approved out quickly to help our neighbors. That's somebody from Fry's office. When, as we now know, that that won't make a dent.
Everybody gets $50.
Yeah, it just won't make a dent. So, Fry, you've got to veto this thing, and it doesn't. Millions and millions of dollars have gone out. Advocates for the policy say mutual aid won't make up for the need. They argue an extension will give people more time to access rent assistance funds. So really what the Marxists are betting on, that in a 60-day window, new public funding sources will be created. That's what they're betting on.
That's quite a bet.
They're betting the legislature will do it. The city council will increase property taxes and find some more money. The Feds, I haven't even mentioned the Feds. They should be. The Feds will step in and provide some money. But that's what they're betting on. And they can't make that bet.
Well, you'll end up in a state-owned apartment building.
Right,
then.
exactly.
And we
And
will
that's
give you
what the
potatoes.
Marxists want.
Yes.
And we'll give you heat when we decide you need heat.
That's
But you
what
need
the
to go make
Marxists want.
brooms at the factory.
And if your roof leaks, we'll give you a bucket.
That's right.
Do you want potatoes today?
Or boiled ham.
How could this happen so quickly? It just happened in the last inside of 10 years.
But in Minneapolis, I'm going to vote for a new Democrat. They're going to fix everything.
It's yeah, you can take your time out if you want.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Save every cent you can
Yeah.
while you can.
I would think so.
With North American Banking Company. You know why? Their mission statement since way back in 1998 was very simple. They wanted to create a better banking experience for everybody. For you, for your family, and also for all of you business owners. And that's what they've been doing since 1998. They have been investing into the communities with which they do banking each and every single day. You know what? Locally owned and operated here with North American Banking Company. And here's why that's important. That means all of the different loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So business owners, yeah, you're solving problems quickly. You homeowners, you're also doing the same thing. And it doesn't matter what you're looking to do. Like I said, create a new business. God help you in this state, but also maybe you're looking to do a new home renovation project or just buy a new home. North American Banking Company is going to be able to make all of that happen for you with their experts. And they also offer all of the same updated online and mobile banking tools as all of those other big national banks. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
What's so funny?
Well, we're rolling.
I always like when the stinger or the.
I was
the
a
liner-
little early.
Yeah. And if you're a little early with turning on your air conditioning unit, well, it's going to cool down a little bit. But if you shut it down last year and it was making funky noises, Welter Heating has been here for over 120 plus years, 4 generations. Certified techs come out to your Twin Cities location and they will work on your heating unit, wake up that AC unit, or maybe you've got an indoor quality machine that you just want to make sure has purifying your air. They can work on that as well. Where are they located? They're located in South Minneapolis. They've got a 612-825-6867 number. They also have 4 generations and, again, over 120 years. And they really do a fantastic job. Go to their website. It's welterheating.com. Click on the blog, and you may have some of your answers already answered free of charge. If you can't, and it's a big job, then get in touch with Welter. I've had Welter work on items in my home, and the wonderful job. The guys came in the same day. They got in and out. And, of course, what do you call it when they say what it's going to be, how much it's going to be?
The estimate.
The experience. The estimate was spot on. I'm just kidding, Reavers. It was right on to the penny. Do yourself a favor and do business with Welter because they advertise on Garage Logic. WelterHeating.com. This summer, spring, or winter, or fall, or mid-season, make sure you heat or cool your shelter with the fine folks from Ray and Welter. Thanks, Rick.
Wow.
What do you think Chaudhary does with her paycheck? Does she stand in the open window of her rented apartment and just throw it to the people? Does she just sail it out the window?
What do they make?
They make about $100,000 a year, and they get the medical and the great benefits and whatever. You think she gives it away?
No, I think she keeps it.
Okay.
I don't think she gives a dime away. She feels she's doing the work of the, well, not Lord.
Here's John Heidt.
She's not.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Before I start news, I do want to go back just for a moment to that editorial piece Chris was talking
The Earth
about.
is not your mother.
I didn't.
The
I
Joe
don't know why
Souchere
it's
Show.
doing
Got
that.
that.
Hello.
Noted.
And I only want to go back to it because it's a piece we would agree with completely. The guy must be a GLer, and I don't want the guy to hear us and think we don't like him.
Chris, did you read the whole piece or just the headline?
Okay, let John finish his.
His name is David Wood.
Yep.
And basically he's telling Minnesota to stick to its values, but get the hell out of the way and let businesses do what they need to do as long as they fit within those values.
Thank you.
Basically, that's what he's saying. Now, he is the founder and president of Ancoats, which is a Minneapolis-based construction company, a 10-year employee of Mortensen Construction. And he also is a member of the Minneapolis Downtown Council, some of the people in Minneapolis who appear to have their heads on somewhat straight anyway. Also, the Minneapolis Regional Chamber of Commerce, a member of that.
So he's one of the good guys.
All right, good.
I didn't want David to think
We're ripping him.
David.
because we.
It wasn't we. It wasn't a we. It
Well,
was-
right, but I just found it. Is it irony that?
yeah,
that they
you
were,
could go with that.
Okay,
Sure,
okay.
sure.
In news, many Minnesotans have expressed, frustration about stubbornly high license tab fees on their vehicles that are a result of changes made during the 2023 legislative session. The tax rate went up, and the rate of depreciation on vehicles was slowed down at the same time. Senator John Jasinski is a Republican from Faribault. He said if you look at the NADA, the National Automobile Dealers Association, what's called the Blue Book, Minnesota keeps that rate of depreciation much higher than what the vehicle's actually worth.
Well, they slid one by us, didn't they?
So Jasinski says they're taxing you at a higher rate than what it's worth. He authored a bill this session to revert license tab fees to pre-2023 levels after hearing many complaints from his constituents. He said, that's what I'm hearing in my district and legislators across the state, that people are complaining about their tabs. In 2023, the DFL-controlled legislature increased the license tab tax rate from 1.285% to 1.575%. At the same time, they dramatically lowered down the rate of depreciation. The result is, after 3 years, a new vehicle will only depreciate about 10%, even though in reality, it's probably gone down about 40%. Minnesotans, though, get stuck paying the higher tax rate at the 10% on a vehicle value kept artificially high.
Democrats say the higher fees are necessary to raise revenue for roads and bridges because
that's their main priority.
Gas tax revenue is declining.
Here's your problem.
Right, because they want everybody to ride bikes or walk.
I bought tabs about a month and a half ago on a 6-year-old vehicle that's approaching 200,000 miles, and it still almost cost me $500.
That's unbelievable.
And that's without this increase.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember what I did in 98.
What'd you
I
do?
really miss that, and I wish you'd come back and be the governor.
I don't want to run.
I know.
Unless you make
John Height's up now.
Minnesota Senate yesterday unanimously approved a bill that clarifies when motorists are required to stop for school buses. All of this comes after the Minnesota Court of Appeals overturned a driver's conviction for proceeding past a flashing stop arm because the equipment was only partially extended. If the bill becomes law, drivers will be required to stop at least 20 feet from any school bus that displays flashing red lights, whether or not the stop arm is extended. All vehicles waiting for the bus must remain stationary until the lights on the bus stop flashing. Also included is language codifying that flashing amber lights are a formal warning to drivers that the bus has come to a stop and that flashing red lights are coming next. The bipartisan bill is the first to pass the Senate during the 2026 legislative session. It now awaits a vote in the House of Representatives.
I often come across a school bus that might be just stopped at the side of the road, with no kids around, with the lights blinking, but the stop sign isn't out. I crawl around them as though to say, is this okay that I'm doing this?
Right.
Because clearly it's somebody taking a break that has nothing to do with picking up a kid.
It sounds like this new law would tell you not to do that.
That sounds what it sounds like, yeah.
Oh,
great.
I put my left foot on the brake and I put my right foot on the throttle and I do the world's biggest burnout until you can't see and all you can smell is rubber. And then I lift my foot off the brake and I peel out for about a block.
You do the launch, huh?
And I give them the bird.
I don't do that. I don't do that.
U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota is citing a recent exodus of top prosecutors in that office in a motion to delay the trial of a defendant in the fraud investigation of Feeding Our Future. The motion for continuance filed yesterday seeks to push back the trial of Abdirahman Ahmed, who was among several people charged with money laundering in 2022. A jury convicted one of Ahmed's business partners, Salim Saeed, along with Feeding Our Future's founder Amy Bach last year. Now the government says it will not be able to, in their words, adequately prepare for Ahmed's trial in June. The motion cites another upcoming trial of 7 defendants in April, as well as significant staffing changes at the U.S. Attorney's Office earlier this year. You'll remember top prosecutor Joe Thompson, several others quit in January. The attorneys resigning after not liking the way the investigation of the shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE agent was taking place. Thompson was the lead attorney for the government in the 2 previous Feeding Our Future trials in 2024 and 2025. Ahmed, who is also known as Chef Abkos, is currently out of custody, expected to oppose the motion for a continuance. If the motion is denied, Ahmed's trial is scheduled to begin on June 8th. Star Tribune reporting replacing outdated software essential to everything from payroll to class registration at the Minnesota State school system has cost $48 million more than initially approved and is 4 years behind schedule. Minnesota State is switching to a software system known as Workday at its 33 public colleges and universities. It's part of a broader initiative to modernize its technology called NextGen. The first phase of the upgrades, which included human resources and finance software used by employees, went live in July 2024, a year behind schedule. The second phase, which will allow students to manage admissions, financial aid, and registration through one platform, is on track to go live in 2030. That's 4 years after the initial target.
It's uncanny how public entities cannot budget properly, whether it's a school or whatever. They just can't do it. They always need more. Got to have a little more.
Never enough, Joe.
Never enough.
The cost increases and delays aren't the only aspects of the projects that have drawn scrutiny. Employees say they struggle with the new system daily and even had to prepare budgets by hand and with spreadsheets this year. If the project's second phase, aimed at technology students will use, is as clunky as the first, Administrators and faculty fear that some students, especially those facing obstacles, could become too frustrated and just won't sign up for school.
For those of you wondering, that was Rookie working on his new impersonation in which John Candy holds public office.
Yes, that's why I started giggling. I thought of John Candy immediately.
Johnny.
Hello, Mayor.
Why don't we take a quick break
You can
here?
stop blinking, too.
Welter heating. Let me
You
tell
already
you about
did
it.
that.
You already did that.
Still going.
It's Chris's turn now.
Let's talk about We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. Okay, I have a confession to make. Stopped in at Fratelloni's. Got myself a jar of the maple bourbon toffee almonds that you see on the
Can I
screen.
tell you something about the mixed nuts?
Yeah?
There's always a nut in there. I don't know what it is.
Do you analyze it?
So I look at it and I think,
Where'd you come from,
what
little
is
buddy?
this
Yeah, what
thing?
is this?
What is this?
Oh my God. Where did you come from, little buddy? Anyway, the maple bourbon toffee almonds. Here's what you don't do. Mike Fratelloni had a great piece of advice. You open the cup, the lid, right?
That's your bowl.
You pour it in there.
Yes.
That's your serving size.
Yes.
Don't do what Reavers did.
Settle down.
And
He's
start
the half
watching the basketball game. Where the hell did the jar go? I ate the entire thing.
It's not a cup.
It's more of a... Yeah. Anyway, here's the deal. Go to wearenutsmn.com. You can see their entire rotation of wonderful hand-quality snacks made right here in the great state of Minnesota by a wonderful family-owned operation, by the way. And right now, Nut Madness is going on. You get 25% off any purchase over $25 right there at the website. You can call them also directly at 612-781-6596. It's a wonderful company, and you can find them at Fratelloni's, Max Hardware, Lunds and Barley's, Kowalski's Markets, Colburn's, Cub Foods. Who else am I missing? Oh, also 700 different Quick Trip locations. It's the best. We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. Place your order. Let them know you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast. Johnny Heidt.
Thanks, Chris. In national, international news, President Trump held a press conference yesterday, talked about Iran. He branded the major military operation against Iran as an excursion and signaled he wants to wind down combat against the Islamic Republic ahead of his 4 to 5 week timeline. He answered in the negative when asked if military operations would end within days or by the end of the week, but said it could happen very soon. The Pentagon, however, yesterday sounded a different tune. A Pentagon-run social media account said we've only just begun to fight. That echoed comments from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in an interview with CBS News' 60 Minutes, in which he said, "What I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning." Walking back earlier calls for an overthrow of the Islamic government, the president said he wants to work with someone inside the current regime, the same manner to how he's handling Venezuela, where Trump took out the country's president, but kept the regime in place when they acceded to U.S. economic demands. The president also said Iran does possess long-range cruise Tomahawk missiles when asked about the late February strike on an elementary school that killed 160 people, most of them children. Trump was asked about evidence that a Tomahawk was used in the attack, which remains under investigation by the U.S. military. U.S. military is the only fighting force known to have Tomahawks, which are produced by Raytheon, involved in the ongoing war with Iran.
When you're fighting religious insanity, I don't know how it ever ends. Thank you.
I chose not to comment on that one.
That's wise of you.
Oil prices whipsawed yesterday, rising to roughly $100 a barrel, the highest since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine, and then fell rapidly, retreating below $100. The swing came as traders reacted to the expanding war in the Middle East and signs that the government may step in to stabilize energy markets. For consumers, depending on what happens, the impact could mean higher gas prices eventually and heating costs also. Analysts warn that sustained high oil prices could push inflation higher and slow down economic growth in the U.S. and around the world.
I like wars where the opponent is as equally insisting on living as you are.
Wait, say that again?
I want to fight wars where the opponent is values being alive as much as you do.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, in that scenario, who would that be?
With not these crackpots.
The Muslims don't mind.
They get waiting for the virgins.
That I get, but then at that point, then who would you be okay with?
Well, World War II, you were fighting people that wanted to stay alive.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alexander Butterfield, the White House aide who inadvertently hastened Richard Nixon's resignation over the Watergate scandal when he revealed the president had bugged the Oval Office and cabinet room, has died. He was 99 years old, death confirmed by his wife Kim and John Dean, who served as White House counsel to Nixon during the Watergate scandal and went on to, along with Butterfield, help expose the wrongdoing. As a deputy assistant to the president, Butterfield oversaw the taping system connected to voice-activated listening devices that had been secretly placed in 4 locations, including Nixon's office in the Executive Office Building and the presidential retreat at Camp David. Butterfield told Watergate investigators everything was taped as long as the president was in attendance. Those tapes would expose Nixon's role in the cover-up that followed the burglary in 1972 at the Democratic Party headquarters at the Watergate building. To avoid impeachment by the House, Nixon resigned on August 9, 1974, less than a month after the Supreme Court had ordered him to surrender the relevant tapes to the Watergate special prosecutor. When Butterfield acknowledged a taping system existed, he was brought before a public hearing of the Senate Select Committee on Presidential Campaign Activities. A public revelation on July 16, 1973 of a taping system stunned Nixon and friends and foes alike. The tapes promised to Watergate investigators a rich vein of evidence in their quest to determine what actually happened. Efforts by investigators to gain access to the tape sparked a year-long legal battle that was finally resolved in 1974 by the Supreme Court. The thousands of hours of tapes made public over the years provide a unique, if often unflattering, view of the former president. His words exposed to bad temper, vulgar language, bigoted racial and religious views, and unvarnished opinions about national and international figures.
You know who else bugged the Oval Office? JFK.
Yeah, you hear those all the time. Most interesting ones about the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah.
Ever read those? They're fascinating.
Yeah, and what was said when he left the room, I thought was really
You know what the
curious.
Bay of Pigs was? It was harebrained.
What do you mean?
I don't think it was
Wasn't
ever
well
going to
thought
work.
out?
Didn't
Wasn't
work.
thought out. Yeah. I thought maybe this one was an onion story, but a little research showed it actually came from the Wall Street Journal. Donald Trump has kind of become a shoe salesman in the White House.
I read it today. I read it today.
Is he wearing those?
And he actually said something.
Homo sapien? What was his name?
Homo bonus.
Homo bonus.
Go ahead, John, but there's something in there that Trump said that is absolutely correct. But
The
go
US
ahead.
The U.S. president has been buying his favorite shoes for his staff so frequently that they've become the unofficial White House uniform.
Yep.
One female White House official told the Wall Street Journal, all the boys have them. It's hysterical because everybody's afraid not to wear them. Trump has fallen in love with Forsheim, a brand that sells some pairs for as little as $50, a far cry
Sensible
from
shoes.
They're usually only at the mall, right?
They're
Florsheim.
sensibles. We call them sensibles.
Dress shoes.
The president has been buying the shoes for agency heads and members of Congress. He often speaks about how incredible they are. Such is the president's devotion to the brand that he guesses people's shoe size in front of them, puts in an order for them, and a week later, it turns up sometimes.
That's
with
homo
his-
bonus.
Mike, could you come in here a minute? Let me look at your feet here.
Are you an 11?
Yeah, you
You
look
a
It's
like
like Elvis.
maybe a
This
double
is
wide,
awesome.
huh?
Sometimes the president signs the shoebox.
Oh, boy. That's cool. You didn't get to the part where I think he's absolutely correct.
I have more, but go ahead.
You know, see if you got it.
I'm not sure if I have any more. Well, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Among those who have a pair of Trump-approved Florsheims are J.D. Vance, the vice president, Marco Rubio, Sean Duffy,
Well, hell, they'd all be afraid not to wear them.
Pete Hegseth, and Howard Lutnick. Friends of the president, Fox News personality Sean Hannity and Senator Lindsey Graham also have a pair each. Well, if you know the story, can I say the one word that he said about their shoes?
Careful,
Yes.
John. Careful.
I can? Okay.
Yeah.
Vance and Rubio are both said to have been given a pair of Florsheims after a meeting at the Oval Office in December when the president told them that they had, quote, shitty shoes.
Yeah. Here's what Trump said that I agree with. He doesn't like people wearing brown shoes with a dark suit. And I said, you're all right, sir. I said, sir, you are right, sir. That's like wearing your hat indoors. Or it may be the arrival of some bodies from overseas, like wearing your hat. But we have people across the hall that they make this mistake. They got the brown shoe. There's a kind of shoe that it looks like a platypus. It's a real long brown. Yeah, it's just horrible. It's a brown. Don't wear brown shoes with a suit.
I like are these the fashionable sneaker style dress shoes? Is that what
No.
these are?
These
not
are
at
wingtips
all.
and
They're
just
wingtips,
regular
yeah.
businessman shoes.
Okay, all right.
I did see. It's funny you mentioned that, Joe, because now, of course, I saw 2 or 3 pictures today of people from the cabinet and looked at their shoes first.
Yeah.
And a dark blue suit. Pete Hegseth was wearing brown shoes.
That's terrible. That's a terrible look.
I
That's a
immediately
faux pas.
That's
Yeah,
a
I
hayseed
recoiled.
look.
immediately
I'm
recoiled.
surprised Trump's letting him get away with that.
I like to wear black tennis shoes from clothing from Goodwill.
God, you think he's a pain in the ass the way Such is with your hat?
Yeah. I hope so.
Oh, God.
I hope so. Don't wear that hat
That is
indoors.
not a likable quality. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, that's too bad for you, isn't it?
Well, that's just like your opinion,
You
man.
Yeah.
You're not
You probably
endearing
don't like the Eagles either.
Right.
You're not endearing yourself to anybody with that tyrannical behavior.
Not wearing a hat indoors? I don't
Yeah,
care. I'm sticking to my guns.
A pill that tens of millions of Americans already take every morning might do something that scientists have long hoped to prove: slow the biological clock ticking inside your cells. It's a large study. It's in Nature Medicine. It found that adults who took a daily multivitamin, multimineral supplement for 2 years showed measurably slower biological aging compared to those who took a placebo.
I don't take one.
What did your relatives say about those who take vitamins?
Very expensive urine in this country.
Got it.
Researchers tracked the effect using epigenetic clocks, molecular tools that read chemical marks on DNA to estimate how fast a person's body is aging, independent of how many birthdays they've had. The effect was modest, not dramatic, but in a field where most anti-aging research involves extreme interventions like severe caloric restriction or experimental drugs, the idea that an over-the-counter multivitamin could register a detectable change in the biology of aging is worth taking seriously, according to the people who did the survey.
Who on this staff takes a multivitamin every morning?
I do.
John, Heidt, and Reavers. I don't.
Magnesium at night occasionally.
Yeah.
I take a lot of weird pills.
Fish oil. I'm a big fish oil guy.
Huge.
Is
I take
fish-
tons
Gene
of
Mock
fish
was
oil.
a big vitamin taker.
I thought fish oil was proved to be just.
No, it's good for the
No.
ticker.
And I asked Mock one time, do these things work? And he says, they do if you think they do. Yeah.
I had a noticeable drop in triglycerides when I started taking fish oil, which I noted.
That's fantastic.
Well, that-
I'd take a shot of Jack Daniels.
What is fish oil supposed to do? Your heart?
Yes.
It's an omega-3, yeah.
Yep.
Which lowers cholesterol.
And you, a guy that doesn't eat fish, should be taking them every day.
I had a
see-
bite of fish last week.
Oh, my God.
For
Look
the
at
year.
Kenny.
For the
Look at
year.
Thank you, John.
Kenny, do you eat fish?
Kenny.
Thank you.
Shut up, all of you.
Fish fry on Friday night?
That's the season, isn't it?
It is.
We're in the season.
Really. St. Albert the Great, I guess, has the best.
Where are you going to go this Friday? You going to go to a fish fry?
Me?
A couple of old
No, I'm
women
not.
at the nursing home. Jesus.
Yeah, the
People need
snow.
to know this, Kenny.
The snow. The snow is melting. The roads are clearing. Get out there on 2 wheels. EcoFun Motorsports. Right now, you can get an electric bike on sale starting at $899. They
Take
have-
your e-bike to the fish fry.
Yeah, they have 400 electric bikes in stock, 130 motorcycles on display,
Here comes
wave runners and jet skis. And if you buy one of those, they're throwing in the $1,500 trailer. EcoFun will be the most fun store you've ever spent time in. It's in Forest Lake on Highway 97, immediately west of the Interstate 35, down in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life. Fantastic inventory and great sales now, and they're seasonal. The seasonal sales at EcoFun come and go with the seasons. So now's the time to get to EcoFun. Also a wonderful, wonderful website at ecofunmotorsports.com.
Yep, the liner. Yep, and then the music. Yep.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Let's say you have an Easter village set up at your home, and it has a nice water feature.
Flowing stream.
How about that, huh?
Yes, with the mill.
To simulate the risen
Clarity.
Thank you.
Yes.
Call Hofferman Water. It's almost springtime, ladies and gentlemen. Now is the time to get on that schedule and have them come out for that free water analysis. Here's the deal. You always wait to the last minute to get on the schedule. Then kind of the schedule fills up in the spring and the summer. And you know what? Then it's too late. So do it right now. Call them directly at 612-895-2440, or you can just book your appointment online at HoffermanWater.com. And as long as you're on that website, you can check out every single different water treatment system that they have to offer. Maybe it's a brand new water softener. Oh, man, it's the best. Maybe it's an iron, rust, and odor filtration system, or you're wanting to go with a brand new drinking water system to cut down on all that bottled water you're buying. They're the best. 612-895-2440 or visit HoffermanWater.com. And that's because Hofferman Water has been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Do me a favor and mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
I don't want to do this, but I feel I owe it to you. According to the new, do you think it's possible that the Epstein information is so bad that the people trying to hide it are actually doing us a favor?
I do think that that is possible.
I mean, they're not intentionally doing us a favor.
What do
but
you mean by bad?
Kenny,
so
we had a
revolting and sordid and so frightening.
Kenny, we had a tanker truck of sulfuric acid.
You can use that for water. You can treat water with that.
Okay.
At the ranch or the island?
Island.
What else is it used for?
Well, according to the Times, New Mexico state investigators are now examining his ranch. He had a ranch in New Mexico in the high desert. And it doesn't sound pleasant what might have taken place there. Victims of Epstein claim they were abused and trafficked at the ranch. He named it Zorro Ranch. It's 30,000 square feet, surrounded by grassland and no neighbors. New Mexico lawmakers have voted unanimously to impanel a bipartisan 4-member Truth Commission in the state legislature equipped with subpoena power to look into what might have happened at Zorro Ranch. The authorities have worried that the passage of time may complicate their efforts. The property has changed hands since Epstein
who owns it now?
Died. Evidence may have been lost in the transfer. The ranch's new owner is a Dallas real estate magnate named Don Huffiness.
Jesus, who would want that?
He said he'll comply with the state investigation. Well, chances are, Rook, he probably bought it before all this bleep hit the fan. Huffiness last week won the Republican primary for Texas comptroller. He told the New York Times that the search was a welcome step towards truth and justice. Huffiness and his family say they're cooperating with the New Mexico DOJ to organize a thorough and legitimate investigation into any possible wrongdoing by Epstein. Since purchasing it, Huffiness has rechristened it San Rafael Ranch after the patron saint of healing. They could have gone with Homo Bonus.
Right.
That would have
Rancho
been cool.
di San Rafael.
Yeah. And he said he was going to transform it into a Christian retreat. All right. Oh, God. This is the part that, are they trying to hide it from us? New Mexico's inquiries were spurred by unverified tips that surfaced in the U.S. Justice Department's latest release of Epstein documents, including one anonymous claim that Mr. Epstein concealed the deaths of 2 abused girls by ordering that they be buried in the hills outside the ranch. It is unclear whether the FBI ever even looked into it. The State Department's, the New Mexico Department of Justice is asking the public to stay away from the area, which in recent weeks has become the site of sporadic gatherings and protests while officers conducted the search. The people of New Mexico and those who were harmed are entitled to a complete and transparent accounting of what we found and what we did not, Mr. Torres said. Raul Torres, the Attorney General of New Mexico. I wonder if the people that are hiding this and not allowing it to the public to ever know what really happened, if inadvertently they're doing us a favor, because it would be too sordid and horrid to contemplate.
Yeah.
What?
I don't want to know, right?
Well, I don't want to know, but I would like to know who's involved in what they did.
But we're never going to find that, are we? Because there's too many smoke and mirrors, and nobody's going to be up front. I just find it so hard to believe that somebody didn't tell. Somebody's not talking right now that's still alive and not in the Epstein file.
It's hard to believe that if the President of the United States abused a child, that would go unknown. It's hard to believe
I
that,
agree
isn't
with
it?
that. I agree that somebody would talk.
Are we really at the point where the President of the United States could have alleged to have done that, and we don't know, and that goes unknown? I don't. That's hard to believe. That's hard to believe. Only.
Hold on. Johnny Heidt had this in his news that Governor Walz is cracking down. He's going to create a new agency with it, or changes in the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
C-SPAN was televising his special news conference that just took place maybe an hour or so ago. WCCO TV also carried it.
Yeah.
Here's 30 seconds.
I think Minnesotans have to recognize is you're hearing about fraud in Minnesota because we are prosecuting people. You're going to hear about it in other states. You're going to continue to see it. But the fix is you don't want to hear about fraud not because somebody's not prosecuting somebody. You don't want to hear about fraud because you know the safeguards and the systems are in place. And I don't see there's not another model. No other state has gone to a more decentralized model. Every other state has moved towards a more centralized model of accountability, and I think that's what makes most sense.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you for saying nothing.
Thank you remaining on top of it.
Complete gibberish.
Basically, he's trying to say that, hey, we're on top of all of this. You just trust us here, and we're gonna right all the wrongs, even though we're the administration that created all of this in the first place.
Only because they come to us all the way from Penguin, Tasmania, from the traveling Lymans.
Surprised you didn't blame Trump.
Who can be found at worldwidewaftage.com on this day.
March 10th, Joe.
Way back in 1804, the Upper Louisiana Territory, including present-day Minnesota west of the Mississippi, was formally transferred from France to the U.S. in a ceremony in St. Louis. On this day.
March 10th.
On this day in
Wait a minute. Wait. Spain was involved there. Didn't it go from Spain to France to the U.S.?
The Louisiana Purchase?
The transfer of ownership.
I am limited only by what I receive from Australia, and no mention of Spain is made. On this day,
March 10,
in 1858, we weren't a state yet. I think that came along later in the year, statehood. Inventor and businessman Marshall B. Lloyd was born in St. Paul. He was involved in many ventures in Canada and the Dakotas in the late 1800s before moving to Minneapolis in 1900. Once there, he invented machines that wove wire into doormats and later the woven wire bed spring mattress. After becoming the head of the Lloyd Manufacturing Company, moved to Menominee, Michigan, and he invented a wicker weaving machine that was 30 times faster than hand weaving.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Kingdom of France, Kenny is correct, controlled the Louisiana Territory from 1682 until it was ceded to Spain in 1762. 1800, Napoleon, first consul of the French Republic, regained ownership in exchange for territories, and then it ended up selling it to the United States.
It was called Three Flags Day in March of 2004. Where it was transferred from the Spanish to the French to the U.S. in 24 hours.
How do you retain that information, Kenny? Why do you remember that?
Because
Just school? Okay.
On this day,
March 10th.
in 1983, Mickey's Diner in St. Paul, built in 1939, was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. I think it still exists.
I'm ashamed to say I've never been in the boxcar. I've been in the other restaurant down in West 7th, but I've never attended the boxcar.
On this day in sports disappointment history.
Who did we lose to on March 10th?
Well, on this day in 1967, Bud Grant was hired after Van Brocklin resigned the second time. On this day,
March 10th.
in 1993.
Why is that a disappointment that we hired Bud?
Well, this one is a disappointment. On this day,
March 10th.
1993, Norm Green announced the North Stars moved to Dallas.
Dirty son of
On this day,
March 10th.
in 1999, the St. Paul Pioneer Press first reported the Gophers basketball academic scandal. That's when they were having teaching aides writing papers for them and things of that nature.
Jane Gengelhoff.
Yeah, that was a shame. Was that Clem's era?
For sure.
It sure was.
Yeah. Thank you, GLers.
Hey, you know what? How about this? I forgot to mention this yesterday. You should join the 20,000 plus subscribers on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. That's right. Garage Logic, we've got a YouTube channel where you can watch the show each and every single day starting right around noon. And you can also see full segments. There's video shorts. There's even behind the scenes footage. Just do us a favor and search Garage Logic on YouTube, along with all of our social media channels. That includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. And you can also sign up for the Daily Logician. That's an email that comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. Find out more and sign up today at garagelogic.com.